Right, Shogun. What do we think? 10 episodes, FX, up on Disney Plus. What do we reckon to the show? What do you reckon? Put your comments below about what you thought about the show, what you thought was good, what you thought was bad. Let me have a listen to him. Now, I'm going to go through and just tell you what I thought about the show, my overall view. But if you would bear with me a minute, guys, I've just released this, which is Samurai Death Cult by Anthony Cummins. It's on Amazon. At the minute, it's difficult to find because Amazon doesn't bring it up because of the search engine problem. So I'm going to put a link below. So have a go at that. Get yourself a copy. I've made sure it's extremely cheap. It's only $2 on Kindle, and it's the cheapest it can possibly be on hardback and that. Right. So, by the way, that'll shock you. Should shock you and you'll make you open your eyes. Right. Okay. So, let's have a think. What do we think about Shogun? Right. Let me start with what type of reviewer I am. I am a very positive reviewer. I think if somebody's taken the trouble to put the effort into something that didn't exist before, then just because they don't get it 100% right, and that's not brilliant, then, okay, it's not so bad, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have it without them, and we really don't have to watch it. Like, for example, I am a massive ninja sort of researcher, and I have never watched House of Ninjas by Netflix because it looks horrendous, and I don't think I'd enjoy it. I might watch it in the end, but you don't know, so you don't have to watch it. But the other factor is, there's two more factors to go. The other factor is the cool factor. Whether it's historically accurate or not, is it cool? Is it any good? Is it interesting? You can watch a million historically accurate documentaries and they're boring. But is this cool, and does it leave you with a little bit of a good feeling? Third is, does it represent the book, not history? It's based on a book, not history. If it was, here's the life and times of Tokugawa Ieyasu, you'd say, okay, let's, you know, it better be Tokugawa Ieyasu. But it's not, it's a book. So, there. But beyond that, I think, personally, they've done an outstanding job. I think, in my opinion, it gets a B, B+ in the sort of score system. I think it'd go up there as well done. I'm going to rewatch it again with my missus and go all the way through it again, this time without having to stop and analyse everything and enjoy it. Is it better than the 1980s one? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I love the 1980s one, but I really enjoyed this one. Obviously, we've moved on since the 1980s and things don't, you know, you can tell it's with the haircuts and the costume. It's 1980s, like Dune. I'm a massive Dune fan, and I really love the film, even though a lot of people don't. But I also like the TV miniseries, but you can tell the costume's different. And when I say film, I mean 1984 film. I love that film. But then the new film as well, which I think is a little bit dry compared, but still a good film. It's like, you can either have this or not have this. I'm like, let's have it. Let's have it. So, right. So, Shogun, what did I find? What did I like the best? Well, first of all, should we start with ninjas? Let's go ninjas. Okay. Shogun had the incomprehensible sort of way of producing the most accurate ninja description ever on television and the most inaccurate ninja description on television at the same time. It was cray-cray. So the first one is a samurai becomes a fisherman who then is a spy, and he works close to the Lord, ear to mouth with the Lord as a spy in the Sengoku period. They use the word kanji and things like that, and he sits there and he's collecting information. Perfect ninja. The only thing it didn't do is he didn't do any, or maybe he did, sabotage. I wasn't sure if he was going to be the one destroying the boat. I wasn't sure who it was. It didn't make it clear, but they should have had him burning something or him infiltrating something and then going back to being a fisherman because you found out he was the spy. Oh, you know what I mean? So that would have been clearly like the best in the world. But on the other hand, they had the 1980s Kusurigama spinning, going there and cut down, you know, ninja shuriken and all that. Like, it's just like, what? So I'm going to do a dedicated video just to the ninja scene and say, no. But beyond that, great. So, costume, background, as good as you're ever going to get. That's their budget. Excellent. Except I would say you start to see, and I've heard it's a book thing, the blue team versus the red team. It gets a little bit like that. And then they simplify all the flags. One of my favourite scenes in all of cinema history, and I mean one of my favourite scenes, is the flags of Jerusalem versus the Muslim flags coming up are in Kingdom of Heaven. Oh my God, what an amazing scene. And I know in Shogun they decided to simplify it and say, oh, you know, it's just Tokugawa Ieyasu's flag. But actually, there'd just be flags galore of all the nations come together. You know, it's a big football riot, basically. All your football flags would be there, your soccer flags to you Americans, and they'd be flying them, and this team versus that team, and this team's crest and all that, and it would be a mass of all the different teams, and it would just be mint. And I don't like football, so that's not what I mean, but what I really didn't like is the oversimplification of blue team versus red team. I was a little like, you know, all this, it was all right, but it's like the viewer couldn't understand there's more than multiple people involved. I think they could, and it wouldn't have really mattered anyway, because they don't know. Most people don't know Tokugawa Ieyasu's crest. And do you know what most people don't know? Is that the Tokugawa crest for each of the different Tokugawa families is different, and that actually you sometimes find the Edo Tokugawa crest incorrectly labelled on Kishu modern goods, which I've found now, because it shows, you know, it's a complex one to get to the bottom of the different Tokugawa crests, and I've not really got to the bottom of it, but I'm aware that there are different crests for different families, and they're only slightly different in the way the leaves are moved around. So an expert could go in and say, that is a Kishu crest, that is a Tokugawa, that is an Edo crest, and all that. But then I've seen them interchangeable, so it's all a bit of a mess. But anyway, nobody's going that detailed. What we're saying is we needed more of that, more flags. Right, so costume, wonderful. The swords, not too good, because they should have mainly been Tachi and, yes, Uchikatana and all that, but they looked way too Edo period, like we said. And now we spoke, and if you don't know, there's an interview now with me and Frederick, who is the main the main historical advisor behind, and he's a professor in Japan, and he's just brought out a book called In Search of the Shogun. Sorry for not putting it on the screen. I'm not editing this video. I'm just going to tell you, but In Search of the Shogun. Oh, sorry. In Service of the Shogun. In Service of the Shogun is there, so get a copy of that, and I'll do a review of that as well. Right. On top of that, we've got... so where was I? I've lost my train of thought. Choo-choo. Right. So costume good. So, oh yes, swords. Even he said the swords are a little bit, you know, we had to go Edo style period, Edo style with it, Edo period style with it, which you can sort of tell it's a little bit too off the shop, cheap swords. They should have at least had a few. And yes, we started to see people with Tachi, which was good. Character development. Mariko was by far the best character. She was amazing. Torinaga becomes the cruel heart and one at the end, but I don't think you see it like that. You just see it that he was very well, he planned a lot, and that was good. He was a good samurai, and he planned his strategy and everything, and it was all there, and Crimson Dawn had already happened and all this sort of stuff, and how was it, Crimson Sky? And basically, it was superb. You know, he was a very good character. Some people have said, I think it was the Shogunate, who said the actor might not be the best actor to play him. I'm not sure if it was Shogun. I'm not sure if it was Nick. And I know I've watched Scott from Sengoku Studies. Now, basically, so the characters, Mariko is good. Torinaga, good. Buntaro, good. However, they don't really... We'll get to the roundup. But the one that was terrible was Blackthorn. Jesus! So... Blackthorn, I know we're in the middle of a woke crisis, and we're in the middle of, like, woke cinema, which is why Shogun has done so well. It is a breath of fresh air. It's TV telling how it used to be. Here's the Shogun, you know, well done. But basically, Blackthorn is just a wasted character. He starts out, his rest of his friends go get drunk and whore and all that because they're just sailors. And he's got a bit of brains about him, so he's working through. And you think, okay, you see him start to understand Japanese culture and he's building it. And then about episode 6 or 7, he just totally loses the plot and goes off on one. And like... You know, and I get, you could say they're trying to say he's lost in that society. But the point of Blackthorn is he works his way up in that society and he gets it and he's quite clever. He learns to speak the language. He's getting along with it. And yes, he makes mistakes, but he's starting to use like his use of trying to commit seppuku. Because, you know, he's trying to push something. He would never, as a Christian, commit suicide. So we get he was doing all that. But they just lost that character about... Episode 7, it just lost. And they didn't retrieve it. And while... And the bit I really didn't understand is... The samurai giving up, and he's meant to, the samurai never give up, and the samurai Torinaga's giving up, and he's like, bollocks to this, you're all giving up, I'm not, I'm a full-on fighter, let's fight. And they're all then, later he apologises for doing it. You're like, no, you did the right thing, mate. He said, let's fight, we have to fight, let's just not give in. So, and then he had to apologise for being more samurai than the samurai, which didn't make sense as a character at all. It just didn't make sense. Then at the end, his character's just a bit naff. And he has the dream sequence, and he's sort of a bit apologetic, and you're like, what? It just didn't work out. Whereas Mariko's character was so well done. I'm going to do my own video on Mariko, because she was so good. So good. Well written. You could say there was far more effort put into Mariko's character than there was, if I'm remembering her name right, if there was far more effort put into her character than Blackthorn's character. What do you think? What do you think? But the ending. Yes, I thought a lot of people say, do we need to see the Battle of Sekigahara? Okay, first of all, this is down to budget. Doing a battle might take a load of budget. So what you didn't, if you couldn't have seen the battle, that's fine. But just seeing a CGI of two armies looking at each other and coming up is the biggest anticlimax in the world. It's like, off-screen battle. Okay. At least give us something, you know, and like, it could have been, for me, Torinaga had visions of like people fighting in a battle. So you don't have to do the full battle. You can just have a few extras with some good background CGI with other people going on, and they're killing each other and there's heads coming off. Because you did it, you know, like that, or like mountain of corpses there. Just one scene where it's like, oh, sugar. Sekigahara is one of the biggest battles in Japanese history. I think it's the biggest battle in Japanese history. I never know whether the invasion of Korea would get rid of that idea that it's the biggest samurai battle on Japanese land. But the invasion of Korea, is that the biggest samurai battle ever? Depending on what you term as battle, it's a continuous campaign, I don't know. But basically, somebody'd have to check the numbers. Probably Scott from Sengoku Studies would know far more than me about that. Or, of course, Nick from the Shogun. But you've got the biggest battle in samurai history, all these characters coming together, and you can't even show flashing of battles or heads, or Buntaro's head, you know, on the thing he dies, or whatever happens in the book. I must admit, I've not read the book. It's too long at the minute for me to read. So the show was like Empire Strikes Back. A New Hope, wonderful ending. Empire Strikes Back, ooh, what's going to happen? I hope they do a third. Return of the Jedi, yeah, done. So, Shogun is like Empire Strikes Back. Ooh, what's going to happen then? Oh, nothing, that's the end. What? What are you talking about? So, yes, it's like, no. So, that didn't really work. So, we've got costume, excellent. Ninja, brilliant and crap at the same time. Characters, 80% of them great, a couple not so great. Ending, quite below average, a bit terrible, actually. So, but how does it historically accurate? Well, it's as close as we're going to get. It's as close as you're going to get. I think Matt Easton from Scholar Gladiatora, he said basically the pistols are the wrong age. Okay. So, you know it's a good show when all you can nitpick is the pistols on an edge. Which, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, the way the swords are. So, Matt was like, okay, these pistols are wrong. And he should be doing that. That's the point. It's like, Shogun is a great show, but the pistols are wrong. But hey-ho, you know, it's a shame, but it's a great show. The swords are in the wrong position from the Japanese perspective. They should be wearing more tachi. There should be a lot more tachi slung in normal times and all this. But hey-ho, it's a great show. So we're there. So is it a great show? As I said, a B, B+. It could have been a masterpiece if they had an excellent ending, and if the Blackthorn character hadn't been dumbed down a bit. That's where you slightly see, is it a wokeness coming in, where it's like, oh, we can't have a white male saviour figure. Oh, God, here we go, you know. When we're doing a book, this is the book. So, you know, this is what I struggle with in the minute of the modern world. I struggle with, you can't have a hero because of a certain ethnicity. I'm like, oh, God, you know, just have a hero. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs heroes. Everybody needs heroes. Just put them in. It doesn't matter. If you can't identify with a hero because of the basics of skin colour, there's a problem with your mind. A big one. So, right. There we are, guys. Did you or did you not enjoy it? What do you think? Now, I've written this book, Samurai Death Cult. I've had to self-publish it because the publishers are like, whoa, not touching that, because we live in post-2020 world. So please do get yourself a copy. It's only a short, sort of like 100, I'll say, in fact, you know, it's 140-page essay on the samurai and how brutal the samurai were. So what do you think? Let me know. Let me know. Get yourself a copy and I'll put the links below. Right, guys, that's it. We're up to the 15-minute mark, so I'll leave it there. So above anything, I'm going to read your comments. Let me know what you think of both the show, and if you get the book, let me know what you think of the book. Links below. See you later. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Anthony Cummins. If you want to follow me online, you can follow me on YouTube on Samurai and Ninja History with Anthony Cummins, where I'll deal with all the history of the samurai and the ninja. You can follow me on Samurai Martial Arts Real Training. This is where you'll get only the physical, you'll get only the martial arts. You can follow me on Natori Ryu, where I teach and show all the different strategies and warfare related to the Natori family. Now, outside of this, I also do some other things. So you can join me on Western Culture and Tradition, where I look at the little bits of information from the West, our folklores, our customs. You can also join me on War Duke. This is purely a fantasy channel, a little bit of fun for me in my spare time. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me again on Samurai and Ninja History. This is my basic account. And again, getting back to the fantasy, you can follow me on the Dungeon Crawl, where I'll go through everything that's eerie, dungeon synth, and all of those fantasy elements. And finally, I put some of my art on all Space Marine chapters. I do this just so I can do a little bit of art and keep up to date with the artistic world and keep my skills alive. I hope to see you there, guys, and I look forward to all of the comments on my posts and videos.